Have you ever felt that nagging sensation? You know, like you're just waiting.
Waiting for something specific, yeah, like a sign.
Exactly. Waiting for the perfect moment, maybe, or for someone else to finally give you the green light.
Yeah.
That signal that says, okay, go ahead.
That external nudge. We've all been there.
It's a feeling I think, well, pretty much everyone knows. That moment where you're kind of poised, you know what you want to do, but you feel like you need that push. Well, today, on the deep dive, we're not just cutting that rope. We're actually learning how to build our own launch pad. We're really embarking on this pretty profound journey into, well, self-dependence.
Yeah.
It's about making a fundamental shift, moving from just passively waiting to actively creating.
Right. From doubt to trust.
Exactly. From that crippling self-doubt to, hopefully, an unshakable self-trust. And moving away from constantly needing that external validation.
Defining that strength inside, internal strength.
Yes. Cultivating that deep, resilient internal strength. This isn't just about tweaking a few things. It feels like it's about reclaiming the reins of your whole life, you know, for good.
And I think it's really crucial to understand this isn't some harsh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of thing where you just ignore everyone else.
Right. Not about isolation.
No. What our source material today, the Self-Reliance Handbook, it really reveals a strategic step-by-step process. It's more about understanding the subtle ways, the often unconscious ways we might be, well, giving our power away.
That quiet letting go of control.
Exactly, that quiet relinquishing of agency. And then, more importantly, how to systematically, deliberately get it back. It's about building a life with a genuine confidence, real stability from the inside out.
Exactly. And this isn't like high-level theory. This handbook, it's really practical. It's full of actionable strategies.
Very hands-on.
It promises to equip you, the listener, with the tools to actually carry yourself through struggles, to stay consistent even when things get boring.
Which they inevitably do.
Right. And to create results that build not just temporary wins, but real lasting confidence. It really speaks to the core of what it means to be truly capable, I think.
It does.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We're digging into the Self-Reliance Handbook to pull out the most potent, the most game-changing insights. We want to understand not just what specific actions build true self-dependence, but maybe more profoundly, why these practices echo through our lives, why they make such a huge impact.
Yeah, understanding the why behind it all.
We'll uncover the hidden costs of always waiting, look at how fear often acts like that silent saboteur.
The saboteur, good way to put it.
And figure out precisely what foundational pillars we need to build up that inner strength.
And we've mapped out a pretty clear course for this journey today. We'll kick things off by tackling that inertia, that tendency to wait, and really highlighting the power of just taking that first step, you know, unprompted, without needing permission. From there, we'll shift into something absolutely critical. Cultivating inner conviction. Learning to trust your own judgment, even when that little voice of fear is practically screaming at you.
Oh yeah, that loud voice.
Then we'll explore something that's often overlooked, but honestly, essential. Building integrity and honesty, especially when nobody's watching.
Right, the private moments.
Exactly. That's where it really counts.
And after we lay that groundwork, we'll dive into what the handbook calls the marathon mentality. Mastering how to stay consistent, really consistent, when that siren song of comfort is trying to pull you off track.
Comfort, the progress killer.
Right. And finally, we'll get to the summit, the ultimate freedom the handbook talks about. Choosing your own unique path with clarity, with courage, and without always needing outside approval.
It's a full roadmap, really comprehensive, leading to a whole new way of operating, really.
It sounds like it. And we're going to unpack every turn, every key idea. Okay, let's dive into our first segment then. The handbook titles it, quite provocatively, the first step, stop waiting for permission.
Straight to the point.
It really is. The book just nails it right from the start with this line that feels like a splash of cold water. The day you stop waiting for others is the day your real life begins.
Wow. That's powerful.
Isn't it? It talks about how so many talented, capable people just fall short. Not because they lack ability, not even because they lack opportunity, but simply from waiting.
Just waiting.
Yeah. Waiting for approval, waiting for encouragement, or for that external push that says, go, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just think about it for a second.
Yeah.
How many great ideas have you maybe held back? Or how many decisions had you delayed?
Or projects started and then just stopped.
Exactly. Efforts abandoned too early. All because, maybe unconsciously, You were waiting for someone else to say, yeah, that's good, or go for it.
At external validation.
It's such an insidious trap, and we often don't even see it when we're in it.
And what the source really digs into here is the psychological trap this sets up. It says it quite bluntly. Hesitation steals opportunity.
It steals them, yeah.
And it's easy to just brush off hesitation as being a bit slow, right?
Mm.
But the handbook shows how it's not just a lost moment. It's an active form of self-sabotage that builds up over time.
Compounding sabotage.
Exactly. It's not just missing one chance. It's the habit of putting off action that fundamentally changes your whole path. Less like missing one bus, more like, well, never leaving the bus station at all.
Right.
Those little thoughts we all have, oh, maybe later, or maybe when I feel totally ready, or maybe when everyone's on board, those aren't just thoughts.
We're builders of lost time.
They are. Quiet architects of lost time, leading to months, even years just slipping away. The handbook makes this stark point. That's how people lose their future, by waiting for a push that never comes.
Oof.
Yeah. And the deep truth is, if you wait for someone else to push you, you may wait your entire life. No one else can actually live your life for you. They can't carry your responsibilities.
So, if hesitation is the thief, what's the antidote? The handbook gives us incredibly clear, powerful direction. It just cuts right through. The first step to independence is this: take action without permission.
Simple. Not easy, but simple.
Right. It's not about being reckless, but about internalizing your drive, becoming your own engine. The book uses this great metaphor. If you only move when people clap, you'll stop when the clapping stops. And silence always comes, eventually. Even the people who love you most, they can't be there 24/7 pushing you.
No, that energy has to come from within.
Exactly. That momentum has to start inside you.
That's spot on. It's not about being arrogant. It's about making a fundamental shift in where your motivation comes from.
Right.
Becoming the source of your own momentum. The handbook links us directly to building self-dependence, realizing you have that power inside you to start and keep going without waiting for cues.
That internal motor.
Yes. Once you engage that, you're free. You can move forward even when everything outside is quiet.
And what I love about this handbook is it doesn't just give you the big idea. It gets really practical about how to build that self-trust. Through small, deliberate actions.
The practical steps.
It suggests start small. Every morning ask yourself, what will I do today without waiting for anyone to remind me? And the examples are so relatable, almost mundane but powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that short workout you plan.
Or reading just a few pages.
Right. Or finally reaching out to that person you've been putting off contacting. Or just cleaning up your workspace for 15 minutes.
Little things.
But the key insight is huge. The size of the action doesn't matter. What matters is that you did it because you decided to. Just the act of deciding and following through on your own terms.
No external prodding needed.
Exactly.
And every single time you do one of those things, no matter how small it feels, you're actively strengthening that bond with yourself, that trust.
Building trust capital.
Yes. The handbook says that trust is more powerful than applause. It's how you slowly, consistently build real self-respect. And that self-respect becomes the foundation of discipline. It's a virtuous cycle. You prove to yourself again and again through action that your word to yourself means something, that you can count on yourself. That builds an internal record of integrity, which is, well, the bedrock of self-dependence.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because we can't talk about holding back without talking about the driver.
Fear.
Yes.
Fear.
The handbook nails it.
Rare.
Fear is often what makes people wait. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, or just that paralyzing fear of making the wrong move. We've all felt that, right? Caught in the what-ifs.
Absolutely. Frozen by possibilities. And here's where the handbook offers a really crucial piece of wisdom. Fear doesn't disappear while you wait. It grows stronger.
Oh, that's counterintuitive, but makes sense.
It does. The only cure for fear is action. Think about it biologically, even. When we avoid something feared, our brain kind of logs that avoidance as success, reinforcing the fear next time.
So waiting actually feeds the fear.
It trains your brain to be more fearful. The moment you act, though, fear starts to shrink. Even failure, the book says, becomes a teacher, not an ending.
Right. Like that example of a big project at work.
Exactly. Waiting because you fear imperfection just makes it loom larger. But taking one small, imperfect step, outlining, researching one bit,
just doing something,
immediately makes the fear smaller, the path clearer. It breaks the paralysis.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reframing of how we deal with anxiety.
So if this is resonating, if you're hearing this and thinking, yeah, that's me, The handbook gives a really clear challenge.
Okay, the challenge.
It asks you to commit. For the next 7 days, choose one thing each day that you'll do on your own initiative. No permission, no applause, just you. Simple, but potentially transformative.
A 7-day experiment in self-initiation. I like it. And the promise behind that challenge is pretty compelling. At the end of those 7 days, you'll feel a powerful shift. You'll feel in control. That is the beginning of real independence.
It's not about some huge outcome in a week, is it? It's about feeling that agency.
Cultivating that internal sense of, I can move myself. And to really anchor this whole idea, the book gives this final powerful thought. No one is coming to save you. The one who must move you is you. Accepting that isn't heavy, it's liberating. It leads straight to discipline, to strength, to real progress. It transforms you into the person who pushes yourself into the life you deserve, taking total ownership.
That is a really powerful foundation, and it leads perfectly into our next segment, doesn't it? Because, okay, we've started moving, we're taking action without permission, but then what happens?
The inner critic wakes up.
Right. That internal voice of doubt or fear starts shouting, trying to drag us back. We might be acting, but that inner saboteur is still there.
Right.
And the central theme of this next chapter in the Self-Reliance Handbook goes right at this. It says, most people never move forward in life because they doubt themselves. They let fear's voice be louder than their own.
That constant second-guessing, am I good enough? Is this the right move?
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It really is. And the handbook unpacks fear's deceptive side here. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just whispers, you're not ready, you might fail, people will laugh.
Subtle but deadly.
Very. But then it hits you with the counter. Fear is not truth. Fear is only noise. And letting that noise consistently guide your choices, that guarantees you never learn to depend on yourself.
It creates that self-fulfilling prophecy of staying stuck.
Exactly. Traps you in hesitation.
This is where the handbook makes a claim that honestly stopped me in my tracks. It says, the ability to trust your own judgment is what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck.
That's a bold statement.
Isn't it? That one ability could be the fundamental difference, the pivot point.
It is bold, but the source's explanation of why your voice matters really backs it up. It states, flat out, that no one else truly lives with the long-term consequences of your choices. Only you do.
That's a crucial distinction we forget.
We do. If you always follow someone else's advice and it goes wrong, you still carry that weight, the regret, the lost chance. But if you follow your own judgment and it fails...
You still feel the sting.
Oh, absolutely. You feel the sting, but you gain wisdom. You learn, you adapt, you get stronger. That's the huge difference.
So mistakes become progress when you own the decision.
Precisely. But when you always silence yourself for others, always chasing approval, you start to lose who you are. The book notes insightfully, most people aren't short on advice, they're short on courage.
The courage to make the final call themselves.
Exactly. To own their choices.
The handbook uses this really vivid analogy for this inner battle. It says, picture 2 doors in front of you. One leads to growth, the other to regret. Fear stands in front of both, saying, don't open them. Stay here. It's safer.
Wow, that paints a picture. And the analysis that follows is so sharp. If you listen to fear, you stay put. You don't go through either door. No growth, but also maybe not the sharp sting of immediate regret, just stagnation.
Stuck in the hallway.
Right. But if you trust yourself, find that inner conviction, you push past fear, you open a door, you don't know exactly what's behind it. Could be tough, could be amazing, but you move.
And in the moving, you find strength.
You discover strength you didn't know you had. The truth is stark. Those who trust themselves may not always be right, but they always grow. Those who don't trust themselves never even start. It's all about the growth that comes from acting.
I think we all recognize that physical feeling of fear, though. Heart racing, palms sweating, stomach churning.
Oh, yeah. The primal response.
It feels like real danger, like a genuine warning sign flashing red.
And this is exactly where the handbook offers that crucial reframe. It argues, most of the time, that danger isn't actually real, it's uncertainty. And uncertainty is not the enemy.
Uncertainty isn't the enemy. Okay.
The best skill you can develop, it suggests, is seeing fear not as an automatic stop sign, but as a signal.
A signal.
That the choice matters. It's significant. But it should be your judgment, your values, your logic, not the raw fear, that decides the next step. Learn to read the signal, understand its message, but don't let it drive the car.
Okay, interpret, don't obey blindly. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So the big question that always comes up then is, but what if I make the wrong choice? What if I trust my judgment and totally mess up?
It's a valid fear, a huge barrier for so many, and the handbook tackles it directly. It reminds us. Everyone makes wrong choices. Everyone. It's just part of being human and living fully.
Not avoidable.
Not if you're actually living. But the difference is what happens next. Self-trusters learn from it, gain experience, and keep moving. Non-trusters avoid the mistakes, sure, but they also avoid all the growth.
So how do we build that trust muscle?
Again, start small. Echoing the first segment, wake up earlier if you said you would, save that little bit of money, choose reading over scrolling, take one tiny step towards a goal.
These aren't just tasks, they're self-affirmations.
Yeah.
Each time you decide, even something small, and follow through, you're giving yourself concrete proof. See? My judgment worked out okay there.
Building evidence.
And that pile of evidence, over time, it grows into real confidence. And the handbook powerfully states, confidence is the foundation of independence, building it one small, self-affirmed choice at a time.
The handbook asks this really compelling question to think about. Which feeling do you want your life built on, pride in your decisions or regret for what you didn't do?
Ooh, that's a stark choice.
It is. When you follow your judgment and succeed, you feel capable, alive, in control, self-generated power. But when you ignore your judgment, deferring constantly, you feel weak, like you're shrinking.
So the goal isn't to eliminate fear, because that feels impossible.
Exactly. The book says fear never fully disappears. That's unrealistic. The real goal is to make your own voice louder.
Turn up your own volume.
Precisely. With practice, fear becomes background noise. Still there, maybe humming away, but it's not controlling you. What controls you is your judgment, your values, your clarity. That's the true path to independence.
That's a much more achievable goal, isn't it? Not silence, just lower volume for fear, higher volume for self.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all that, here's the direct challenge from the handbook for you, the listener.
Lay it on us.
What decision have you been delaying maybe for weeks, months, years even? Because fear is shouting in your ear. Choose one. Act on it. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Act now.
Wow. No more waiting. Because the people who build truly great, self-directed lives, they aren't fearless. They're people who choose to move forward despite the fear.
Courageous, not fearless.
Exactly. They get stronger with each choice, more capable with each step, more independent with every action driven by their own conviction. Trusting your judgment in this light is pure courage. It's how you become the author of your future, steering your own ship, choppy waters and all.
Okay, so we're taking steps, trusting our judgment over fear, starting to steer the ship. But then there's this other crucial piece, maybe less obvious. What about when nobody's watching?
The integrity piece. Crucial.
This segment from the Self-Reliance Handbook is called The Unseen Architect. Push yourself to stay honest when nobody is watching. And the handbook starts with this powerful idea. Honesty builds character for sure, but it's also one of the easiest to abandon when no one else is watching.
So true.
It makes this really sharp claim. The real test of your character isn't how you act in the spotlight. It's how you act in silence.
That really cuts deep, doesn't it? It forces you to look at a paradox. It's relatively easy to look disciplined or good when you know others might see you, when there's potential recognition.
Performing integrity.
Kind of. But the book asks that tougher question. Who are you? What choices do you make? When the door is closed, when the room is empty, when nobody will ever know whether you stayed true or not.
That's the real measure.
That, the handbook says, is where self-dependence is truly measured. It's the ultimate internal integrity check. It determines the fabric of your self-trust.
The handbook really hammers home the danger of those private shortcuts. It says really clearly, the danger of cutting corners in private is not the action itself. It's the message you send to yourself.
Exactly. That internal message. Each time you're dishonest or lazy in private, even slightly, you're sending this destructive signal to your own mind.
What kind of signal?
That your standards don't matter, that your word carries no weight, even to yourself. And the source warns this slowly erodes your self-respect.
The slow erosion.
And the implication is huge. Once you stop respecting yourself in private, it becomes nearly impossible to stand tall in public. People can sense that lack of internal alignment, even if they can't pinpoint it. That erosion shows. True confidence becomes impossible.
The handbook clarifies, though, this isn't about being perfect, right? It's more about refusing to betray your own principles.
Exactly. Not perfection, but principle.
It asks us to think about those small, private promises we make. If you said you'd read, did you actually read? If you said you'd exercise,
Yeah.
did you do it? If you said you'd manage your money wisely, did you resist that impulse by?
These seemingly tiny choices, they add up massively. They either build or break the foundational integrity of your character. The handbook reminds us, you can't hide from yourself. You're the constant witness.
You live with the consequences internally every day.
Every single day. That internal ledger of self-trust is either growing or shrinking with every private choice.
This part is tricky because there's no external reward, right? No one throws you a party for not cheating on your diet in private.
No, definitely no party. No one congratulates you for refusing to cheat on your goals. No one else even knows. That's true. No external applause. But you know. You feel the quiet, unshakable confidence of knowing your character is intact. And that quiet confidence, it's worth more than any recognition.
And the flip side?
The flip side, the handbook warns, is that dishonesty never truly stays hidden. It always shows up later in your results. Cutting corners in study. Gaps appear later. Skimping on work. Lack of skill shows up. Neglecting health privately. It manifests physically or mentally.
So every shortcut you take in silence steals from your future.
Exactly. The source uses this great analogy. Integrity is like a muscle. It grows with repetition and weakens with neglect. You got to work it out consistently.
So how do we actively build this unseen integrity? The handbook has this powerful, maybe slightly uncomfortable reflection question.
Okay, I'm ready.
If a camera followed you through every private moment of your day, would you honestly be proud of what it showed? If the immediate answer is, maybe not, then
you know exactly where your work begins. Ouch.
But effective. It's a critical point because real growth, the deep stuff, it rarely happens under the lights. It happens in those quiet, unseen decisions. Choosing honesty over the easy shortcut. Facing uncomfortable truths instead of kidding yourself.
Self-deception is poison, it says. Yes. Because you cannot improve a weakness you refuse to admit to yourself. It illustrates this with a tale of two people. One cuts corners privately, thinking no one knows. The other disciplines themselves, even alone. Over time, the difference in their lives, their capabilities, enormous.
And it wasn't luck or talent.
No, it was honesty in private moments. The suggested daily practice is simple but deep. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I keep my promises to myself today? Did I stay true to my values when no one was watching?
And the most important part of that, I guess, is being brutally honest in the answer.
Absolutely crucial. The handbook insists, if you failed, don't excuse it. Acknowledge it fully. Decide how you'll do better tomorrow. Honest awareness is the first step to lasting integrity. That self-accountability, without beating yourself up, builds that unshakable foundation.
There really is a kind of freedom that comes from living honestly in private, isn't there? You drop the guilt, the fear of being found out, the self-doubt.
Yeah, it's lighter.
Instead, you walk with certainty because your private actions match your public words. That alignment brings a peace of mind that applause can never replace.
And there's another benefit. That consistency in silence often inspires others more than you realize. People sense authenticity, that groundedness.
True leadership starts privately.
It has to. You can't expect respect from others if you don't first respect yourself and your own standards behind closed doors. It's the silent strength that speaks loudest.
So the challenge the handbook leaves us with here is crystal clear. Do not lower your standards just because no one is checking. Do not betray your principles just because you could get away with it. Do not lie to yourself just to feel comfortable.
Yeah. These are the quiet battles that forge real self-dependence. The handbook drives it home. When the world does not see you, you see you. When the world does not judge you, your conscience does. When the world does not hold you accountable, you must. That, the book says, is the very definition of self-dependence.
It's that daily internal discipline.
It separates talkers from doers. And that builds a life of stability, self-respect, and unshakable confidence. Because, without a doubt, you can depend on yourself.
Which brings us to a really critical point. A truth that can make or break progress. Staying consistent when comfort just begs you to quit early.
Consistency versus comfort.
Yeah.
The classic battle.
We're acting, trusting judgment, maintaining integrity. But then there's this other subtle force lurking. That siren song of comfort. And the handbook makes this really provocative claim right at the start here, flipping things around. The biggest enemy of progress is not always failure. The real enemy is comfort.
That's a big one. We're so wired to fear failure.
Right. Failure feels like the big bad wolf, but this says comfort is the real danger.
It is a profound shift. And the source describes comfort's sneaky nature so well. It doesn't yell. It whispers that you've done enough, that you deserve a break, that tomorrow's just as good.
The gentle saboteur.
Exactly. It's a master manipulator, convincing you to quit before you've built momentum, before results appear, before you've proven to yourself what you're capable of. The message is stark. You must resist that voice. It's sabotage disguised as self-care.
The book describes consistency itself as, well, not glamorous, not exciting. It is repetitive, steady, and often ordinary.
The grind.
Yeah, and that's why so few master it. Most of us, let's be real, we want the excitement, the fast results, the pat on the back after just a few tries.
You want the highlight reel, not the practice footage.
Exactly.
And this is where the handbook draws that sharp line between wanting and achieving. Success does not reward occasional effort. It rewards those who keep showing up, even when it feels dull, even when no one notices, even when every part of them wants to stop.
Showing up is the key.
It creates this internal dialogue. Comfort says, why keep going? You did more than most already. Consistency replies, quietly but firmly, I'll continue until the work is complete. That internal commitment to process over feeling is what makes the difference.
It makes me think, and maybe listeners too, about all the times you started something exciting. A fitness goal, a project, a habit.
Yeah, the initial burst of enthusiasm.
Right. Started strong, felt motivated, but the second it got repetitive or hard, you just gave into comfort. And later, that regret hits. Not because you couldn't do it, but because you weren't consistent.
That cycle of quitting early, the handbook warns, ruins more dreams than failure ever will.
More than failure. Wow.
It's powerful, right? The handbook emphasizes directly, consistency demands discomfort. You will feel bored, tired, tempted. That is the unavoidable price of real change.
No way around the discomfort.
No. But the achievers, the self-dependent people, they learn to embrace it. They know the pain of discipline is temporary, but the regret of quitting lasts far longer, maybe forever.
So pushing through temptation builds confidence.
Every single time. You prove to yourself, I'm stronger than my feelings. That proof builds unshakable confidence, brick by brick.
So how do we actually do it? Stay consistent when feelings are all over the place. Motivation comes and goes.
The handbook offers a crucial solution. You need a system that does not depend on how you feel in the moment.
A system, not just willpower.
Exactly. Feelings fluctuate, moods change. Discipline means acting regardless. You need a mechanism that keeps you going. The advice is clear. Set a schedule. Commit to it. If you wait until you feel like it, comfort wins. Every time.
Comfort always wins that waiting game.
Always. And it's clever. It disguises itself as kindness. Oh, protect yourself from burnout. You've earned rest. And yes, rest is vital.
Right.
But the handbook distinguishes most of the time it's an excuse. Rest is intentional recovery after disciplined effort. Quitting is just stopping because it's hard. If you quit early, it's not self-care, it's self-sabotage, a betrayal of your own goals.
One strategy the book suggests is focusing on the long-term vision. Asking yourself, if I quit now, give in to comfort, will I regret this later?
And the answer?
Almost always yes. The comfort of quitting lasts minutes. The regret, years maybe. The satisfaction of consistency, a lifetime.
And the real secret to consistency, it clarifies, is not intensity, it is repetition. Small, daily actions, repeated relentlessly, compound into massive transformation, way more powerful than occasional big bursts.
Little and often beats big and sporadic.
Very much. And your environment plays a huge role too. Comfort loves distractions. So, build an environment that supports your discipline, remove distractions, prepare tools in advance, keep visible reminders of your goals, make consistency the easier path.
What about those days when your brain just screams, you're tired, done enough, stop?
On those days, the book advises consciously reconnect with why you started, your deep reason. Write it down again, read it aloud, visualize the outcome. When your reason is stronger than your comfort, consistency wins.
Your why has to outweigh the why not.
Exactly. And patience is key here too. So many quit because results are slow. They underestimate how long growth takes. It's like leaving before the seed sprouts.
Growth happens silently first.
For a long time. Often. You have to trust the process and keep going through those invisible stages.
This daily practice of consistency, it doesn't just get things done, does it? It changes who you are.
Profoundly, every time you follow through despite temptation, you reinforce the belief, I am disciplined. I am someone who keeps my word to myself. It becomes part of your identity.
It stops being a constant battle.
Eventually, yes. Discipline becomes more default. Not easy, maybe, but default. And it's crucial. Consistency isn't perfection. You will slip. Days will be missed. But missing once is not Failure quitting altogether is?
So the key is getting back on track immediately.
Instantly. No beating yourself up, just resume. That resilience makes you stronger.
The ultimate reward, then, it's bigger than just hitting the goal. The book says the real reward is the kind of person you become.
Yes. Someone trusted by self and others, someone who endures, doesn't collapse under pressure, persists when others quit. And that kind of self-mastery commands respect because it's rare. So when comfort whispers, remember, you are not here for ease. You're here for growth.
Building for the future, not just for today's comfort.
Exactly. The choice is always there, every day. Comfort now or results later. Most choose comfort now, regret later. The few who choose consistency now enjoy the rewards later. That leads to strength, stability, and unshakable self-dependence.
Okay, what a journey. We've covered taking action, trusting judgment, private integrity, consistency. Which brings us to the final pillar, the capstone, really.
The ultimate freedom, as the handbook calls it.
Choosing your own path without depending on outside approval. We're building internal strength, but how do we handle all those external opinions, expectations, judgments, especially when forging our own way? The handbook opens this chapter with a really profound lesson, maybe a bit uncomfortable. If you build your future around the approval of others, you will never truly live your own.
Wow. That just cuts right through, doesn't it? A life lived by committee, almost.
Yeah, living by proxy.
It unpacks that endless cycle of pleasing, adjusting, performing just to gain acceptance. How people delay decisions, avoid risks, hide ambitions, all fearing judgment.
The fear of disapproval, it's powerful.
Immensely. But the stark truth is, if you wait for everyone to approve of your path, you will be waiting forever. Someone will always doubt you, question you, dismiss your dreams. Approval feels safe, maybe, but it comes at a steep price, the price of your independence.
You're handing over control.
Completely, giving away your future to external forces.
That's a heavy cost. The examples in the book are so relatable. People getting degrees they didn't want, hating jobs, staying in draining situations.
Simply for approval. Yeah. They traded authenticity for comfort, and later they regret it. Profoundly. And the handbook is honest about choosing your own path. Applause is not guaranteed. Criticism, misunderstanding, rejection, not just possible, but likely.
That's the price of freedom.
That's what it argues, and it offers that crucial contrast. Approval is temporary, regret lasts forever. This reframes everything. The question isn't, what will they think, but will I respect myself if I follow this path? My truth.
That internal compass becomes primary.
Radically shifts the whole game, your own self-respect over fleeting external validation.
This need for approval, the book suggests, often starts young, right? Seeking validation from parents, teachers.
Totally normal, part of learning.
But as adults, if we don't consciously shift, it becomes a heavy chain, keeping us stuck in safety. But growth does not live in safety. Growth begins when you stop asking permission to live.
Wow. Stop asking permission to live, and it clarifies. Choosing your path isn't arrogance, it is responsibility. Advice is useful, guidance helps, but the final decision must be yours.
Own the outcome.
If it fails, you learn. If it succeeds, you know it was because you trusted yourself. Either way, you grow. Follow someone else's path. You rob yourself of growth entirely. No lessons, no real triumphs, just following.
This is why knowing what you actually value is so critical then. Without that clarity, you're just blown around by external opinions.
Like a ship without a rudder, constantly swayed. The advice is strong. Take time to reflect deeply. Decide what truly matters to you. Set goals aligned with your values. The question shifts from what will they think to does this align with who I want to become?
That changes everything.
Everything. Look at people who built meaningful lives. They did not chase approval. They chose their path despite resistance. Friends doubted, families misunderstood, some were laughed at.
They kept going anyway.
Yes, because approval often comes after success. But if you wait for it before, you'll never begin. You have to be willing to move without the applause first.
How do we practically weaken that need for approval?
Again, start small. Practice making minor decisions without asking anyone what to eat, where, read. Train your mind to trust itself. Then apply that growing confidence to bigger choices.
Each decision builds the muscle.
Reinforces the belief, I can steer my own life. It grows into self-trust, giving you strength to walk your path even with disapproval.
We have to talk about criticism, though. It's inevitable.
Absolutely. The handbook says, criticism will come no matter what you do. Succeed, criticism. Fail, criticism. Play it safe, still criticism.
So you might as well get criticized for doing what you actually want.
Precisely. Why not be criticized for living the life you actually want? Take what's useful from feedback, sure, but never let it dictate your core direction. And choosing your path means accepting full responsibility. When you stop needing approval, you stop blaming others.
No more, I only did this because they said so.
Right. It becomes, I chose this, and I will handle the outcome. That ownership builds immense strength. Even failure makes you wiser, tougher, freer than just following a script.
It can feel lonely sometimes, though, can it?
Yeah.
Going your own way.
Yes. The book acknowledges that. It may feel lonely at times, people may doubt you, laugh at you, even walk away, but
Right.
loneliness is better than abandoning yourself. That's a stark choice, but powerful.
Stand alone rather than lose yourself.
And there's hope. Over time, living authentically attracts people who respect your independence and are drawn to your authenticity, but you must first be willing to stand alone, if needed.
That willingness is key.
It's the test and the magnet for real connection later.
So our final challenge for you, the listener, from the handbook. Write down what you truly want. Not what others expect, not what will impress, but what you want. Now compare it to the path you're currently walking.
The honesty check.
Yeah. Are you moving toward your vision or living someone else's plan? If it's the latter, the time to start making changes, even small ones, is right now.
Because the more you choose for yourself, the less you'll need that external nod. The fear of rejection shrinks. The hunger for validation weakens. Instead, you find peace and authenticity, the quiet strength of knowing you are walking your truth, living in alignment. The reward for that courage, that clarity, is freedom.
Freedom.
The reward is a life where you look in the mirror and know, I lived for myself, not for applause. And that reward, it's worth every single challenge along the way.
Wow. What an incredible journey we've taken through these ideas today.
Yeah.
We started right at that first crucial step, taking action without permission, breaking free from just waiting.
Getting unstuck.
Yeah. Then we moved into cultivating that inner conviction, trusting our own judgment even when fear was screaming.
Turning down the volume on fear.
Exactly. Then exploring the unseen architect of honesty, staying true to ourselves even in private, building that self-respect.
Integrity muscle.
Then tackling the marathon mentality, facing down comfort to stay consistent, recognizing comfort as the real enemy of progress.
Playing the long game.
And finally, arriving at that summit, choosing our own path, free from the need for external approval. Each pillar so powerful on its own.
And when you see them together, like the Self-Reliance Handbook lays them out, you realize they're not separate skills. They're interconnected, reinforcing pillars.
Building on each other.
Yeah, forming that unshakable self-dependence. It's a whole approach to building an inner fortress of strength, resilience, confidence, moving from reacting to life to intentionally creating it.
So, considering everything we've unpacked today, all these insights, if self-dependence really is the ultimate freedom, here's a final thought for you, the listener. What is one small area in your life where you've maybe unknowingly given away a little piece of your power?
Just one small area.
And more importantly, what's the very first, maybe private step you'll commit to taking today, right now, to start reclaiming it?
And as you think about that, just remember that core truth we found in the source material. At the end of the day, the only approval that truly matters, the only validation with lasting weight, is the one you give yourself.
That internal nod.
That's the strength. No external force, no circumstance, no opinion can ever take away from you.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. For all of you looking for that shortcut to being truly well-informed, or maybe you're just incredibly curious about what makes people genuinely self-reliant, well, we have a fascinating journey ahead. Today, we're digging into a stack of insights, some really practical guidance from a powerful work titled The Path to Unshakable Self-Dependence. And when we talk about unshakable self-dependence, we're really getting at building a life where you don't just, survive challenges, but actually thrive because you trust your own compass.
Absolutely. Our mission today is basically to distill the most vital nuggets of knowledge from these sources. We'll explore what it truly means to rely on yourself. Not just when things get tough, but, in the everyday choices that build your character and ultimately shape your entire future. Think of it almost like a blueprint, maybe, for becoming someone who just doesn't crumble no matter what life throws at them.
Okay, so let's unpack this core idea right at the start. One of the most foundational statements we found is pretty direct. The day you stop waiting for others is the day your real life begins. It's a really powerful concept. It suggests people often falter not because they lack talent or opportunity, but, because they just spend too long waiting.
That's exactly right. We often find ourselves kind of in this perpetual state of waiting for approval, waiting for encouragement, maybe waiting for someone else to give us the green light, The insights from this material consistently highlight how that hesitation, that constant pause, is what really steals opportunities. I mean, think about how many times you've maybe told yourself, oh, maybe later, maybe when I feel perfectly ready, maybe when everyone around me is on board, only to watch months or, gosh, even years just slip right through your fingers. It's kind of a subtle form of self-sabotage, actually.
It really is a common trap, isn't it? This idea that, yeah, if you wait for someone else to push you, you might end up waiting your entire life.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, what's the very first, like the most practical step to actually breaking free from that cycle? How do we stop waiting?
Well, the earliest step toward independence, as this work powerfully outlines it, is to take action without permission. It's really about cultivating an internal locus of control. If your only motivator is, say, external applause, you'll naturally grind to a halt the moment that applause fades. And, let's be honest, silence will come. Even the people closest to you can't be your constant cheerleaders, right? The really profound shift happens when you become the one who gets up and moves, not because you were told to, but because you decided.
Okay, that sounds really practical. And it sounds like the power isn't necessarily in the size of the action itself, but more the source of the decision. Is that right? The guidance here seems quite specific. Start small. Like every morning you can ask yourself, what is one thing I will do today without waiting for anyone to remind me? It could be something simple, right? A workout, reading a few pages, reaching out to someone, or just, tackling that messy corner of your room. The sheer scale of the action doesn't really matter.
What truly matters is that you initiated it because you decided to. Each time you follow through on one of these self-initiated tasks, you're strengthening a really invaluable muscle, trust with yourself. This internal trust, the material argues, is far more potent than any external validation you might get. It's the bedrock of self-respect. And self-respect, in turn, is the very foundation of consistent discipline. It's also often the first antidote to fear. The moment you take that small step, fear, which kind of thrives on inaction, starts to recede a bit.
Okay, so we've started moving, we're taking action. But here's where it often gets really interesting for people, I think. That movement often leads us straight into another major roadblock, self-doubt. The sources explain that a big reason many never truly move forward is that they constantly question their own judgment. They let fear become the loudest voice in their head. Fear whispers those familiar things. You're not ready. You might fail. People will laugh. All that stuff.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how the material explicitly frames fear not as some kind of inherent truth, but merely as noise. Just noise. If you consistently allow that noise to dictate your choices, you will never truly learn to depend on your own capabilities. The crucial ability to trust your own judgment is precisely what differentiates individuals who grow, sometimes exponentially, from those who just remain perpetually stuck. And fear, well, it shows up in various forms, right? And everything from small daily decisions like how you'll use a free hour to those monumental life-altering ones like maybe charting a whole new career path.
It really drives home why our own voice is paramount, doesn't it? Because ultimately, yeah, we're the ones who live with the consequences of our choices. So what's the biggest difference this work highlights between, say, following your own judgment versus someone else's, especially when things do go wrong?
Precisely. If you just blindly follow someone else's opinion and it leads to a misstep, well, you're still the one carrying the weight of that outcome, and often there's, resentment maybe. However, if you follow your own well-considered judgment and it doesn't pan out exactly as planned, yes, you feel the sting, but, and this is key, you gain invaluable wisdom. You learn directly from that experience, you adapt, and you actually emerge stronger. That's the critical distinction. As the material points out, many people aren't really short on advice. They're short on the courage to act on their own sense of direction.
There's that powerful analogy that comes to mind from this material. Picture two doors. One leads to growth, the other leads to regret. And fear stands guard right in front of both, constantly telling you, don't open them, stay right here where you are. It's much safer. But the act of self-dependence means trusting yourself enough to push past that fear, to open one of those doors, even if you don't know exactly what's behind it. The key really is just the willingness to move.
Exactly. And it's in that very movement, that step forward, that you discover your own resilience and strength. The best skill you can cultivate, according to these sources, is learning to perceive fear more as a signal, like a flag that indicates the choice matters, rather than seeing it as an absolute stop sign. Let your judgment, informed by your values, not your fear, be the compass for your next step. Recognize fear for what it often is: uncertainty about the unknown, not necessarily actual danger.
Okay, so for someone listening right now, how do they actually practice trusting themselves? I mean, what does that look like day to day for building genuine confidence?
Well, you build confidence directly through consistent action, starting small. It really can be as simple as committing to wake up a bit earlier or saving a modest amount of money each week, maybe choosing to read a few pages instead of just endlessly scrolling. Each time you make a decision, however minor it seems, and then you follow through, you are providing sort of irrefutable proof to yourself that your judgment is reliable. This accumulating proof solidifies into genuine confidence over time. And while the aim isn't necessarily to, silence fear entirely, that might be an impossible goal, the objective is really to make your own voice louder than that fear. Through daily intentional practice, fear gradually recedes into the background noise. It might still be there, yeah, but it ceases to be in control.
Right. So moving beyond these internal doubts and that initial push to act, our deep dive next turns to how we truly build our character and, importantly, sustain progress, especially during those moments when, no one else is watching.
Yeah, and what's particularly insightful here is this idea that honesty, while incredibly powerful, is also one of the easiest traits to compromise when you're alone. The sources really drive home the point that the real test of character is not how you act in the spotlight. It's how you act in silence, when nobody's looking.
That's a really thought-provoking distinction. Because the danger of cutting corners privately isn't just about the action itself, is it? It's more about the subtle, maybe corrosive message it sends to yourself. That your own standards don't truly matter. That your word, even just to yourself, carries no real weight. And slowly, almost invisibly, your self-respect begins to erode. And you're the one who lives with those internal consequences every single day.
It really comes down to those small, often unspoken promises you make to yourself. If you resolved to read, did you actually read? If you committed to exercising, did you go? If you decided to manage your money more wisely, did you keep your word? These seemingly small, private choices are like the mortar that either builds or crumbles the foundation of your character.
The challenge, of course, is that demonstrating honesty in solitude rarely comes with any public recognition. No one's there to congratulate you for refusing to cheat on your own goals, right? But you notice. You feel that quiet confidence of knowing your character is intact, and that intrinsic feeling, as the material suggests, is worth more than any external recognition you could get.
And conversely, dishonesty, this work argues pretty strongly, never truly remains hidden. It invariably surfaces later, often in your results. If you cut corners in your studies, for instance, the gaps will become painfully apparent in real tests. If you skimp on diligence in your work, that lack of developed skill will inevitably show itself when bigger opportunities demand it. There's a powerful analogy given that integrity is like a muscle. It grows with repetition and weakens with neglect. You have to work it.
So this really challenges us to ask a pretty profound question of ourselves. If a camera followed you through every private moment, every unseen choice, would you truly be proud of what it showed? Would you be comfortable if the entire world saw exactly how you used your time, how you honored your commitments to yourself? That's a tough one.
Yeah, and building on that, the material identifies another major hurdle on the path to self-dependence: comfort. It boldly states that the biggest enemy of progress is not always failure. The real enemy is comfort. Comfort, in this context, is that sort of subtle, seductive whisper that tells you, oh, you've done enough, or you deserve a break, or tomorrow will be just as good a day to pick up where you left off.
It's so true, and it's such a stealthy adversary. Consistency, by its very nature, it just isn't glamorous. It's, as the source says, repetitive, steady, and often profoundly ordinary. And that's precisely why so few people truly master it. Most of us crave excitement and, instant visible results, but genuine lasting success consistently rewards those who simply keep showing up, even maybe especially when it feels dull or unnoticed or completely uninspired.
Yeah, that all too common cycle of starting with a big burst of enthusiasm only to quit when the work becomes tiring or repetitive, that actually destroys more dreams than outright failure ever will. Consistency demands a willingness to embrace discomfort. You will feel bored, you will feel tired, and you will be tempted to take the easy way out. That is truly the non-negotiable price of real transformative change. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the regret of quitting, that often lasts a lifetime.
So, okay, how do you sustain that consistency then when your feelings are constantly fluctuating, pulling you in a dozen different directions? How do you manage that?
Well, the core insight here is that you need a system, maybe a framework, that doesn't rely entirely on your fleeting emotional state. Feelings, by their nature, they rise and fall. Motivation comes and goes. The solution is to establish a clear schedule, decide what must be done, then commit to it, regardless of how you feel in that moment. The material also draws a crucial distinction between true rest, which is intentional recovery after consistent effort, and quitting, which is simply abandoning the work because it feels difficult. That's described as a form of self-sabotage.
I particularly like that idea that the comfort of quitting lasts maybe minutes, but the regret can linger for years. It really highlights that the secret to consistency isn't intensity. It's repetition. It's those small daily actions faithfully repeated that compound into truly transformative results. And it also emphasizes that your environment plays a massive role. Making it easier to be disciplined by consciously removing distractions and setting up your tools or space in advance.
And remember, profound growth often works in silence, unseen, before it finally reveals itself. Many people quit because they don't see immediate dramatic results. But consistency isn't just about the outcome. It fundamentally builds your identity. Every single time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you reinforce the belief, I am disciplined. I am a person who follows through. This powerful identity shift only emerges from that relentless repetition.
Okay, so we've talked about stopping the wait, trusting your judgment, building integrity through private honesty, and cultivating consistency even when comfort calls. Now let's explore perhaps the most pervasive challenge many of us face, that insidious trap of building our future around the approval of others. This deep dive powerfully suggests that far too many people find themselves caught in this endless cycle of pleasing, adjusting, performing solely to gain external acceptance.
Yeah, if you are waiting for everyone to approve of your chosen path, this work warns pretty starkly you will be waiting forever. While approval can feel good in the moment, it's like a temporary rush. It invariably comes at the steep price of your genuine independence and authenticity. The essential question to ask yourself is not, what will others think of me? But rather, will I truly respect myself if I follow this path, my path?
That's a huge shift in perspective and, frankly, kind of a liberating one. We're often conditioned from childhood to seek validation, but if we don't consciously outgrow this need as adults, it becomes this powerful chain, keeping us stuck in perceived safety. Yet, as the material sharply observes, growth does not live in safety. It truly begins the moment you stop seeking permission to live your life.
Exactly. Choosing your own distinct path isn't an act of arrogance. It is fundamentally an act of responsibility. Now, seeking wise guidance from others is undeniably valuable, but the ultimate final decision must unequivocally be yours. If that choice leads to failure, okay, you gain an invaluable lesson. If it leads to success, deep down that it was because you trusted your own inner compass. Either way, you grow. This is precisely why clarity is essential. If you lack a clear understanding of what you truly value, you will inevitably be swayed and tossed about by every shifting external opinion.
Yeah, consider the individuals who built truly meaningful, impactful lives, the material suggests. They did not chase approval. Instead, they deliberately chose their path despite resistance. Friends doubted them, family members often misunderstood their vision, yet they remained resolutely true to themselves. And interestingly, years later, those same people who initially doubted them often became their staunchest admirers.
And the reality is that criticism will come no matter what path you choose. If you succeed, people will inevitably criticize you. If you stumble and fail, they will still criticize. Even if you play it entirely safe, remain entirely neutral, do nothing remarkable, they will still find something to criticize. So the powerful question posed here is, why not be criticized for living the life you actually want?
Right. Taking genuine ownership of your outcomes is precisely what builds that profound inner strength. When you consciously stop depending on external approval, you also stop the habit of blaming others. You stop saying, oh, I did this because they told me to. And while that journey might feel lonely at times, the material makes a stark but vital point. Loneliness is better than abandoning yourself.
The temptation to seek that easy approval will always be present. It's like a constant hum in the background. But as these sources remind us, none of them will live with your consequences. Only you will. This deep dive really challenges you to take a moment and genuinely write down what you truly want for your life. Not what others expect, not what will impress them, just your authentic desires. Then, honestly compare that vision to the path you're currently walking and, start making those courageous changes.
Wow. What a journey through the principles of unshakable self-dependence. We've discussed the profound importance of stopping the wait for external permission, of trusting your inner judgment even when fear tries to shout you down, of building private integrity through unwavering honesty, staying consistent even when comfort tries to lure you into quitting, and ultimately, charting your own unique course without depending on outside approval.
Exactly. Each of these pillars, as this comprehensive material describes, contributes to forging a life where you are unmistakably the one steering the wheel, truly free from the dictates of fear, the shackles of self-doubt, or the shifting sands of others' opinions. It's fundamentally about becoming the person who pushes yourself with intention and courage into the life you actually deserve.
So, for you listening today, what does all of this mean in your own life right now? Let me leave you with a provocative thought, drawn directly from the very essence of this deep dive. The only approval that genuinely matters, the only one that can truly sustain you, is the one you give yourself. That, the sources powerfully imply, is an inner strength that no rejection, no criticism, and no external doubt can ever take away.
So maybe consider one decision you've been delaying, or perhaps one small, self-initiated step you can take today, right now, without permission or external validation, to start truly authoring your own future. That incredibly powerful, self-dependent person, that can be you if you make the decision today.